Calvin Brooks had never been in a hurry for anything in his life. He wasn't lazy, per se, he just had what he liked to call deliberate gear. That meant he thought before acting, paused before speaking, and procrastinated before deciding to stop procrastinating. It wasn't a disorder, it was an art form. His small ranch-style house sat on the edge of Maplewood, a town that smelled faintly of pine trees, gas station coffee, and neighborly gossip. The porch creaked in rhythm with the cicadas, the wooden boards carrying the weight of summer stories told 100 times over. Calvin's mornings started the same way. Black coffee, mismatched socks, and a stare down with his ancient desktop computer that took longer to start than an old pickup in winter. He worked remotely as a data entry clerk, though worked was generous. His typing pace made sloths look like caffeine addicts. Outside, the world hustled, cars sped to the interstate, neighbors mowed lawns with competitive precision, and a UPS driver named Tony performed acrobatic tosses of Amazon boxes onto porches. Calvin, however, preferred the scenic route through life, even if that route involved sitting still. Then came the turtle. It was a Tuesday, the kind of humid Georgia morning where shirts stuck to backs like bad decisions. Calvin was sipping coffee on his porch when he noticed a small box turtle inching across his driveway. It was about the size of a pancake, with a shell patterned like autumn leaves. Its head poked out, its legs trudged methodically forward, and for reasons Calvin couldn't quite explain, he felt compelled to watch. Minutes passed, then 10. The turtle had covered maybe 3 feet. Calvin found himself cheering for it quietly, muttering, "Come on, little guy, you're doing it." He didn't realize his neighbor, Mrs. Delaney, had stepped outside next door, holding her garden hose like a sheriff's pistol. "Talking to turtles now, are we, Calvin?" she called. "Only the ones with ambition," he replied. She chuckled, shaking her head. "You could learn something from that turtle. Like how to cross a driveway in 30 minutes. Like how to keep moving when it's hot as sin." That landed harder than she probably intended. Because truthfully, Calvin had been stuck for a while, emotionally, career-wise, romantically. His ex-girlfriend Marissa had once said, "You're like a Netflix loading bar that freezes at 99%. It stung, mostly because it was accurate. By noon, the turtle had made it to the patch of shade under Calvin's porch steps. The man admired it like a piece of performance art. He fetched a small dish of water and placed it nearby, feeling oddly proud. Somewhere between caffeine sips and self-deprecating thoughts, he decided the turtle deserved a name. He chose Miles. It was ironic and sincere at the same time, the best kind of humor. That afternoon, Calvin posted a picture of Miles on the Maplewood community Facebook page with the caption, "Found this legend crossing my driveway. Moves like my career but has more direction." Within hours, the post had 87 likes and a comment section full of banter. One teenager wrote, "Bro, that's my spirit animal." The local librarian said, "Steady wins the race." And Maggie Jenkins, the 70-year-old who ran the local diner, simply commented, "He's faster than the service at Applebee's." For a town where gossip usually centered around who repainted their mailbox or which high schooler dented a parent's car, Miles became Maplewood's unofficial mascot. The next morning, Calvin found 2 kids kneeling by his porch, peering at the turtle. One of them, a gap-toothed boy named Jonah, looked up and said, "Is this your pet?" "Not really," Calvin said. "He's more of a life coach." Jonah nodded solemnly, like that made perfect sense. From that day forward, Calvin's porch became a slow-moving spectacle. People stopped by to check on Miles. Some left lettuce leaves, others left motivational notes, "Keep going little dude." Even the mayor showed up once, claiming he was conducting an inspection of civic morale. Maplewood hadn't been this collectively invested in anything since the pie-eating contest of 2014. But the funny thing was, while everyone was watching Miles move an inch a day, Calvin started to move too. Not physically, at first. Emotionally, mentally. He found himself applying the turtle's rhythm to everything: his work, his diet, his messy living room. Instead of trying to overhaul his life in one go, he started with small steps: 5 extra minutes of morning jogs, actually washing dishes after meals, sending overdue emails. By week's end, his porch was cleaner, his head a little clearer, and his phone less neglected. Even Larry the neighbor's cat seemed to approve, napping closer to his feet than usual, feline approval being a rare miracle. But the real turning point came that Saturday. Maplewood held its annual summer fair, complete with funnel cakes, dunk tanks, and an ill-fated mechanical bull that threw 3 people in 5 minutes. Calvin hadn't planned to go. Crowds weren't his thing, and he'd rather stay home with his new shelled friend. Then Maggie from the diner spotted him while driving past and yelled out her window, "Brooks, get your slow self to the fair. You and your turtle are local celebrities now." And just like that, fate decided his weekend plans. At the fairgrounds, the air smelled of sugar and sunscreen. Kids sprinted between booths, parents held lemonade cups that sweated faster than they did, and a high school band played covers of 80s pop hits slightly out of tune. Calvin wandered slowly, like an anthropologist studying a foreign culture. Then someone tapped his shoulder. It was Marissa. The ex. The one who'd compared him to a frozen loading bar. She was wearing denim shorts, a loose white blouse, and that same half smile that used to knock him off balance. "Well, if it isn't Mr. Steady," she said. He chuckled awkwardly. "Guess I'm living up to my reputation. I saw your Facebook fame. You and that turtle are inspiring the town. I'm trying something new, moving without sprinting. Maybe that's all you ever needed to do." Their conversation wasn't dramatic or cinematic in the fireworks sense, more like quietly redemptive. She smiled genuinely for the first time in years before saying, "I'm glad you're doing okay." And Calvin, for once, didn't feel like he had to rush to respond. He just nodded and said, slow and steady. That night, back home, the porch light flickered over Miles the turtle resting in his usual corner. Calvin sat beside him, the cicadas buzzing like background music. For the first time in a long while, he didn't feel behind. He poured himself a drink, toasted the turtle, and said softly, "Here's to the long route, buddy." And in that slow, humid air, something in him, the old tension, the self-criticism, the impatience, started to melt. The narrator's voice fades in. In a town that moved too fast for its own good, a man and a turtle taught each other that progress doesn't have to look dramatic. Sometimes it just needs to be real and steady. Summer in Georgia had a way of making everything look like it was melting: popsicles, asphalt, patience. But on this particular morning, there was something undeniably refreshing about the air. A soft breeze nudged the trees, and Calvin Brooks, for the first time in years, woke up before his alarm. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to. Miles the turtle was already out, inching toward the porch steps like an athlete at mile 2 of a marathon that no one asked him to run. Calvin sat on the steps beside him, sipping coffee and scrolling through messages. Apparently, his Turtle Life Coach Facebook post had gone local viral again. A regional lifestyle blogger wanted to feature the man who learned life from a turtle. Calvin laughed. "Great, buddy, we're motivational influences now." Across the yard, Mrs. Delaney waved a gloved hand. "Your little reptile's got fame now, Brooks. Don't let it go to his head." "Too late," Calvin said, looking down. "He already ignores me like a celebrity." By mid-morning, a handful of neighborhood kids were back by the porch. Jonah, the self-appointed turtle manager, had constructed a makeshift course out of cardboard and popsicle sticks. "We're doing a race," he announced. "With what competition?" Calvin asked. Jonah pointed. "Him versus time." Calvin smirked. The eternal struggle. They watched as Miles lumbered forward, slow but steady, across the makeshift track. Each inch felt like a small victory. Kids clapped. Mrs. Delaney filmed on her phone. Even Tony the UPS driver slowed down to cheer, hanging out of his delivery truck window yelling, "Come on, Turbo." The whole town had gotten invested, not in the turtle's speed, but in his consistency. There was something beautifully stupid and strangely poetic about it. In a world obsessed with fast results, Maplewood had gathered to celebrate slow persistence. And just like that, something clicked in Calvin. That weekend, he started jogging again. Real jogging, not the half-hearted, walk fast while checking your phone type. He took the long route past the creek, through the park, and along Maplewood's mural-painted alleyways. He wasn't fast, but he showed up every morning. The first week, his lungs protested. The second week, his knees joined in the rebellion. But by the third, something changed. He didn't care about time. He cared about rhythm. Miles, too, became a symbol. People left small turtle figurines on porches around town. The local elementary school named their new reading program, Miles of Learning. The diner added a menu item, the turtle breakfast special, 2 eggs, slow-cooked grits, and toast. Maggie told Calvin, "You've started a movement, Juan. Just slower than most." Then came the big, ridiculous idea. At the next town meeting, Calvin stood up, something he hadn't done in years. Public speaking wasn't his thing. But the words came out, haltingly at first, then with quiet confidence. "I think we should host an event," he said. Not a race, not a fair, something different, something slow. The crowd tilted their heads, half intrigued, half confused. Like, what? Asked the mayor. Calvin cleared his throat. The slow parade. Gasps, murmurs, a few laughs. But by the end of his pitch, a day-long walk through town, celebrating patience, calmness, and doing things the long way, people were on board. In a place like Maplewood, where life could feel repetitive, the idea of celebrating slowness sounded oddly refreshing. 1 month later, the slow parade. The August sun was merciless, but the spirit was high. Streets were lined with homemade banners that read, "Keep moving," and "Slow is still forward." Families set up lawn chairs, holding lemonades and cheering as people strolled, literally strolled, down Main Street. There were floats that moved at walking speed. A marching band that took deliberate pauses mid-song, for dramatic effect. Even Tony's UPS truck rolled by at 2 miles per hour with, "Delivering patience since 2023, painted on the side. And there was Calvin, walking beside Miles the turtle, who had his own little wagon lined with grass and flowers, pulled by Jonah. The crowd erupted in applause every few feet. It was ridiculous. Beautifully ridiculous. Maggie handed Calvin a paper fan. "Never thought I'd see the day when doing nothing fast would be this entertaining." He grinned. Sometimes people just need permission to breathe. As the parade wound through town, Calvin felt something inside him shift for good. The pressure he used to carry, the constant fear of being behind, was gone. He wasn't behind anyone, he was just on his own timeline. Later that evening, after the parade ended and the sun dipped low behind the Georgia hills, Calvin sat again on his porch. Miles rested nearby, half buried in the cool grass. The town buzzed softly with leftover laughter. His phone buzzed. A message from Marissa. "Saw the parade on Facebook. Proud of you, Slowpoke." He chuckled, typing back. "Still moving. You should join next year." He looked down at Miles. "We did good, buddy." The turtle blinked, expressionless but wise, as if to say, "Told you so." That smooth, ironic tone fading into something heartfelt. In a summer that moved too fast for comfort, one man found meaning in slowing down. While the world sprinted past, he learned the secret that every turtle already knows: life isn't about how quick you finish the race. It's about noticing the road while you're on it. Because slow doesn't mean stuck. It means steady. And steady, eventually, gets you everywhere worth going. The screen fades to black. A soft chuckle plays over the credits as the turtle begins his eternal crawl toward the camera.
Like and subscribe if you want to be happy and motivate.